Here's a question we got from Paul Green, who says he's the chairman of delegates for Ron Paul for vice president, and then he's an alternate delegate to the Republican convention. Listen to this listen to this question.
While it's unlikely that John McCain will pick you as his running mate, if the convention delegates were to nominate you and elect you from the floor of the convention, would you be willing to run for and serve as the Vice President of the United States?
You know, you're right in prefacing your question by saying it's not likely, and it isn't likely because it would be untenable. And it would be very unlikely that I could accept, for the same reason that it's hard for me to say that I would vote for him, and I can't vote for him. So I could hardly work for somebody if I couldn't vote for him. So what would happen if a month after he's in office and I'm the vice president, and he believes that we could attack Iran without congressional approval? If that happened, I would be so distraught that I would have to resign. So I wouldn't be able to do that. So the answer is a very strong probable no.
Hardly anybody out there in the world, other than like Ron Paul's family, knows him better than Lou Rockwell, his former chief of staff. That is great news, Lou, that you're saying that Ron Paul will not be endorsing Mitt Romney.
Well, first of all, the Ron Paul that we see in that clip from the last election is the same Ron Paul that I met in 1975. He's the same Ron Paul today. He's not changed. This is, of course, one of the things we love about him, because he is so consistent and his principles are unchanging. He's not going to endorse Mitt Romney any more than he endorsed George W. Bush, any more than he endorsed John McCain. These guys are all fascists. They're all, in favor of all the wars and the police state and all the horrible things that we're seeing come to pass before our eyes right now, whether, as you say, the blimps over Washington and the people think are aliens, when of course it's actually the government that's the alien. So we have no worries about Ron Paul sticking to his principles. I mean, I don't understand how anybody could think otherwise about Ron Paul. He's got a very long record. He does not. He doesn't sell out. This is not Ron Paul. This is why, by the way, he's never had a big political career. You know, he doesn't do that. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours sort of thing of regular politics. He's not a regular politician. He's unique. And for those of people who want to be involved in politics, I make an exception for Ron. But otherwise, I think politics is a snare and a delusion and corrupting and a horrible. It's part of the government, after all. So therefore, you know, it's evil. But Ron Paul's never been part of that. He never has played those games. I'll vote for your pork barrel project, you vote for my pork barrel project. All the stuff that goes on in regular politics, he has never taken part in it. He never would take part in it. And that's why, you know, this guy Romney, he's like the total opposite of Ron. I mean, he's a guy for all the concentration camps, the torture, all the wars, more wars. He's a neocon, he's a fascist, he's a corporate statist, he's a police statist. You know, he has a nice suit. That's about all you can say about Romney. He's got nice hair, too, something I appreciate in other people.
Me too.
But that's about all you can say for Romney. Romney is a monster. Mitt Romney is a very bad man. Ron Paul is not going to endorse a monster. It's just not going to happen. And nobody should think that. Nobody should worry about it.
After Hannity enduring the spirited Republican primary this election season, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul was out on the trail campaigning for his father, Texas Congressman Ron Paul. But tonight, he is here to make a major announcement about 2012 and the presidential race. And we welcome back to the program Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Sir, how are you?
Hey, good to see you, Sean.
All right. First of all, before you say what I think you're going to say, did you check in with your congressman father, presidential candidate, who I guess officially finally dropped out of the race?
Well, you know, my first choice had always been my father. I campaigned for him when I was 11 years old. He's still my first pick. But, you know, now that the nominating process is over, tonight I'm happy to announce that I'm going to be supporting Governor Romney.
Yep.
And I have not talked to Rand, so I don't know what he is thinking, but I do know one thing. He hasn't done anything wrong either. He has studied. But there's some people think that they can help correct things through the system. Yeah. Ron has tried that, and it doesn't always work.
I know you're a classy guy and don't want to throw stones, but I really want to see Rand rethink this idea that we're going to change the mainline Republicans by compromising with them. I mean, I understand what he's saying intellectually, politically, but also I understand that that way leads to ruin. That's how you join the dark side. And what you said about Mitt Romney, I mean, he makes Bill Clinton look truthful. I mean, he is such an incredible, not even a flip-flopper. He is a total deceiver. And again, I'm not going to support Obama or him. It's so crazy. I mean, you understand why people are pretty upset right now, because I understand Rand is not Ron, but Rand was sold to us like he was.
Well, I don't know I think if people had paid attention to what Rand said about himself, you know, he said from the very beginning, I'm not a libertarian. He's, of course, a far more traditional politician than his dad. And I'm sure he's the best guy in the Senate. And we should compare him to, you know, Jim DeMint or Chuck Schumer or people like that. Nobody compares. There's only one Ron Paul. Ron Paul's unique in all of American history. Rand does respect his dad. He's never had a normal political career because he doesn't play these games.
Why doesn't Rand see that?
Well, Rand's he's a different person. But you're asking me, why isn't Rand his dad? Well, he's not his dad. Nobody's his dad. And we have to judge Rand on his own.
Congressman Ron Paul, Republican of Texas, representing the 14th district. That includes Galveston, Lake Jackson, Victoria, and Freeport, serving his 12th term, also a presidential candidate. Have you spoken with Mitt Romney?
I have off and on over the many months. I've saw him a good bit during the campaign. So
you talked to him about endorsing him?
Not directly with him.
And do you have a plan for that you're willing to share with us?
No, I have no plan. We still have a convention to go to.
Ron has never changed in 55 years that I've been married to him, and well, in the 60 years that I've known him. We go back a long way. He has never disappointed me. I mean, he has never lied about anything. And why people all of a sudden, are so worried about him and he'll change. How could he go through all those years of Congress, all those no votes, the only one in the Congress to make a no vote because it was a wrong vote? How could they think that he would do something wrong? I know. He has not made any deals. He will not make any deals. He's just Ron Paul, a simple American citizen who loves his country and who wants the best for his country. And a lot of people come at it in different ways.
And you haven't endorsed Mitt Romney yet, will you?
Well, I'll wait and see what happens at the convention.
Well, my first choice had always been my father. I campaigned for him when I was 11 years old. He's still my first pick.
As you know, it's tough to say what issue has been the most important to him. Obviously, the Fed has been very important. Austrian economics has been very, very important. But the issue that's closest to his heart is the issue of war and peace. There have been millions of people murdered in just these recent wars. Who knows how many have been murdered throughout history. And so this is a man of peace. He's dedicated to peace. He's a non-interventionist in foreign policy. He's opposing, the neocons next war who want to murder everybody in Syria, and they want to murder everybody in Iran. Who knows where they want to turn their murder guns next. So again, we can count on Ron Paul. Whether there may be some people who are not interested in these issues, I think that's highly unfortunate. I'd agree with Murray Rothbard that the question of war and peace is the key issue, especially when the wars are going on. It's what grows the state. It's what suppresses dissent, and of course it builds mountains of corpses. So Ron Paul is dedicated to that issue, and I think it's unfortunate there are people who aren't.
Again, your take on what Ron Paul said 4 years ago. I mean, that says it all. And what's your view on this whole global corporate monopoly men system?
We just have to look at the two parties. The two parties are identical. As Butler Schaefer says, two wings of the same bird of prey. They're both part of the government. That's why they can't be taken over, by the way. It's not any more possible to take over the Republican Party than you can take over the Department of Justice. And they're evil. They're part of the government. But yes, they're both set up to be slightly different rhetorically, but in policies, be exactly the same. Mitt Romney is a Goldman Sachs guy. Barack Obama is a Goldman Sachs guy. Barack Obama's for all these wars. Mitt Romney's for all these wars. They're both for the police state and so forth. So this is why we have a two-party system. It's why they don't want multiple parties, and it's why there's no, except in style, There's no difference. This is not an accident. It's deliberate. It's why they love democracy. Look him up on YouTube. He's got many YouTubes from all his earlier campaigns, from his congressional speeches. They're all worth listening to. And he's just but again, don't expect anybody else to be Ron Paul. There's only been one Ron Paul, and I would say that even though I support Ron Paul in all in everything he does in terms of his political races, politics is a snare and a delusion. I mean, there's only one Ron Paul. Maybe there will be somebody else in the future. We can't rule it out. But there's only one of these guys in 200 years, so they don't come along very often. And we should appreciate what we've got. We should support him, read him, author of many important books. He's also a great intellectual. I mean, this again separates him. He's a reader, separates him from the people in politics.
Thanks for joining me. I'd like to give you an update on our plans for August 26th for Tampa. Everything is looking very good. The plans are there. We have the Sun Dome rented, and we have plenty of room for a lot of people to come. So we're finalizing all the plans. I want to thank everybody who's been interested, involved, in planning to come to Tampa, because this is a very important event for us. The event is going to actually start at noontime, even though the doors will be open at 11 a.m., which is that Sunday morning. And the program will run to approximately 6 p.m. And we're expecting to have a lot of excitement there, a lot of planning and preparation for the convention in the following week. Now, the one thing that I think is going to be very important is to find out how many people are coming, so we need RSVPs. And you'll be able to go to the website, Ron Paul 2012, and get the information, be able to let us know if you're coming and how many people will be there. This will be very helpful to us. Also, those who are delegates and alternates, we'd like to have a little closer contact. We're in contact with a lot, but we don't want to miss anybody. So you can find out how to email us and let us know exactly who you are, where you are, so we can communicate and make the preparations for this event. But I expect this to be a very exciting event, and people are looking forward to it. A lot of people are paying a lot of attention to it. You know, the whole reason why we're in this is because of a very important message, and this is where I worry the least, because supporters who have been involved for a long period of time or a short period of time, it seems to me that they understand, you all understand exactly, what the message is, and are determined and are very dedicated to it. So that, to me, isn't too much of a problem, because I think our numbers keep growing. But the other thing is how do you promote a message, and how do you deliver this message? And there are two different ways, various ways on how to do this. We're in a political process now, and the whole thing is to promote this message. I do know that tone is important. This is something I've learned over the many years, that the tone and delivery message is very, very crucial to people wanting to listen. So I think if a tone is positive, you're more likely to have success than if it's a negative tone. This doesn't mean that people aren't supposed to be strong believers and be determined to stand up for what is right and make sure everybody follows the rules. So I think this is crucial. But if you have a philosophy that we believe in so strongly, and we're working hard to change, and we're having success, and actually how we validate this is really by numbers. We do know about small numbers, how important ideas are, and how important people who are determined and irate and tireless, how important that is. But ultimately, the large number of people have to realize this. So it has to be validated. And because governments are a reflection of what the people believe in and what they understand and why it's in their best interest. So this is the reason what we do in August, as well as what we do throughout our life, it really is important that our numbers are there. If we can't get but 200 people to a rally, of course, our views aren't validated. This is the reason the rallies on the campuses were so outstandingly successful, because the numbers were always larger. We always had more people come than we had expected. So we're really looking for it. And also, numbers are important not only to validate what we believe in and to promote our cause. It also can be a lot more fun. And I've always argued that this is serious business. It can be tireless, and we should enjoy ourselves. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to have a good time. I think our message is going to be spread. I think we're going to have a nice turnout, but it depends on the people, on how they respond. So do your very best to get to Tampa if you can. Visit the website, Ron Paul 2012, and so we can communicate with the delegates and the alternates, as well as having people RSVP so we know how many people are going to come. Thanks for tuning in.